About a year ago, I put out an extreme budget meals video with a $20 budget. And with that tight $20 budget, I was able to make enough meals to feed one person for almost an entire week. Well, even just one short year later, $20 does not go nearly as far as it used to, but I thought I would pop into the grocery store and see what I can do with a $20 budget today in December of 2023. Now, normally when I put together these extreme budget meal plans, I remind people that when you are cooking on a tight budget, you are usually going to have to trade some of your time to save some of your money. But with it being December, if there's one thing people are short on just as much as money during this time of year, it's time. So I thought I would try to put together a really easy meal plan, like think outside the box of what I would normally do with extreme budget meal plans, use a few convenience ingredients and see what kinds of really easy meals I can throw together in addition to them being super cheap. I'm also going to limit what I'm using from my pantry to just oil, salt, and pepper if I can possibly do that, which is why I'm going to rely on some things that are already seasoned. And that's why I am picking up one of these stir-fry mixes that has the sauce already included in it. I'm getting the sesame garlic, but they also have a teriyaki flavor as well. Picking up a dozen eggs, which is still a really good cheap protein option. My eggs are $1.44 today. A 6-pack of English muffins for $1.50. 5 packages of ramen. I got the creamy chicken flavor, but you could use a different flavor once you see what I'm using that for. 1 block of cheese, and I'm gonna go with the extra sharp for the bold flavor. Now, I have been making these extreme budget meal videos for a long time, and it is very difficult for me to pass up the 5-pound bag of russet potatoes that's on rollback at my Walmart right now for $2.48 or something. But I did say I was going to make this as easy as possible, so instead of picking up the fresh potatoes, I'm gonna get the frozen 2-pound bag of hash brown potatoes because peeling and chopping potatoes does take time. But if it was worth $1 to you to peel and chop your own potatoes, you might be able to buy fresh ones cheaper and even have some left over. I need 1 can of evaporated milk, not to be confused with sweetened condensed milk. All of these cookie mixes here call for 1 egg, which I'm buying, and I can spare 1 egg. But they all call for butter except for this one. The peanut butter cookie mix calls for just oil, which was one of the things I said I would be using. Now, this meal plan is running a little bit low on fruits and vegetables, so I'm gonna do the very, very basic budget meal thing and pick up some bananas. Plus, bananas are so easy as a fruit goes. I mean, you don't even have to prep it. You don't have to chop it. You don't have to peel it. Well, I mean, you do have to peel it, but like not with a knife. It just takes a few seconds. So I think that's a really good one to throw into your cart that's super cheap when you also don't want to spend a time prepping it. All together, the items I showed you cost $20.72. So not too shabby. Let me get home and I'll show you what we're cooking up with that. I took my pound of pork sausage that I purchased and I cut it in half, and I put 1/2 in the refrigerator to use in a later recipe. And then the other half I am just browning up here. And one of the reasons I love using sausage in budget meals, as you've heard me say before if you watched, is because a little bit goes a long way. It's seasoned, it's fatty, it adds like a richness and a flavor to meals with just a little bit. Now I'm adding my 2 pounds of hash browns, 3 of the seasoning packets from the ramen noodles, waste not. Of course, you could use bouillon if you have that instead. This is my can of evaporated milk, so I'm pouring that in now as well. Plus, I'm going to add 3 cans of water. That's the equivalent of about 4 cups or so of water. Of course, you can make this on the stove, and if you did, you wouldn't need to use evaporated milk. One of the reasons I picked that up is because I could use that in a slow cooker recipe in the beginning of the cook cycle, which just makes it a little bit easier. I don't normally put dairy in the beginning of crock-pot recipes. I'm gonna pop the lid on and I'm gonna cook mine on high for about 2.5 hours or so. Low would probably be around 5 hours, just until the potatoes are tender. I mixed up the peanut butter cookies according to the package directions with 1 egg, 3 tablespoons of oil, and 1 tablespoon of water. But instead of rolling them out into individual cookies, I pressed the dough into a square pan and I'm gonna bake it all at once so that then I can just cut it into bars bars once they cool, and then those will be available for anybody to eat throughout the day or with whatever meal they choose from this meal plan. Next to me on the stove, I have a pot of water coming to a boil, and then I'm going to cook my ramen noodles for a few minutes as soon as the water comes to a boil. In my big saucepan here, I have the veggies from my stir fry mix, and I am not following the directions on the package. I'm changing this up a little bit. So I put the veggies in here with a couple tablespoons each of water and oil, and I'm just letting them saute on their own for probably about 5 or 6 minutes. And as soon as the noodles are done, I'm gonna add those in here as well. So while these things are cooking, we're gonna make up the sauce for this stir fry. This is the sauce packet from my stir fry mix. And what I'm gonna do is pour this into this bowl here, and then crack 5 eggs from my dozen eggs. And I'm also going to add in 2 of my seasoning packets from my ramen noodles. I only need 2 for this. I am going to beat that all together, and that is going to be the sauce for my stir fry. My veggies have been cooking for about 8 minutes on like medium low, so they're nice and tender, and my noodles are also done. I drained the extra water out of them, and I'm gonna put those back in the pan now with the veggies. Or put them in the pan, I should say, because they were never in this pan, so they can't really go back where they haven't already been. This is my egg and sauce mixture, and I want to add it just a little bit at a time and constantly be stirring it with the noodles and the veggies. It's sort of the way you would make carbonara, where you want the heat from the pasta and the veggies in here to cook the eggs, and not necessarily for them to scramble. In fact, I need to turn my stove completely off. It's almost like the eggs, and they are cooking, you know, they're coming up to temperature with the warm food that's already in the pot. It's like they create this really creamy sauce, and obviously they're gonna add, you know, some extra protein to this dish as well, so it makes it a little bit more satisfying. I usually stir mine for about 3 or 4 minutes. I wanna make sure that, you know, the eggs aren't really necessarily translucent anymore. It sort of looks like, you know, this creamy sauce that's over the top of everything else. Now I used 5 bricks of ramen, 5 eggs, plus the veggies and the sauce mix, plus some extra oil. So this would make 4 pretty generous adult servings, around 650, maybe 700 calories, depending on how much oil you use. Or I think this would feed my family with 2 adults and 1 teenage child and 2 younger children, and, you know, be really, really tasty. I gotta say, this is really good. I have used the egg with the seasoning packet trick before, but I've always used it with a little bit of mayo. I've never tried it with like a sauce mix, a ready-made sauce mix. So I wasn't sure how it would all go together, but let me tell you, it is super, super tasty. I mean, this would just be a way, like really easy weeknight meal, or like a ramen noodle upgrade for you, even if you don't need to eat on a budget. When I make these budget cooking videos, I try to make a point of saying that these are meant just to give some ideas. Maybe you're like me and you spend a lot on your Thanksgiving grocery haul and you're looking for just a few cheap meals to kind of tame the grocery budget during the holiday season. Or maybe you like to sprinkle these inexpensive meals in from time to time so that you can afford, you know, some more splurges. But it's not meant to be a sustainable way of eating and cooking. It's meant to be something just to get us through in a very short amount of time or in a pinch. If you or someone you know is struggling with food insecurity, this is one of the best times of year to reach out and get some help supplementing your family pantry. There are lots of organizations and places like schools and firehouses and social services, and churches can usually connect you with those resources if that is something that you need. Or maybe you're willing to eat one of these meals every now and again, or follow this meal plan for a day or two and then donate the difference in your grocery budget to a charity that addresses housing and food insecurity. Monetary donations are the best way to support these philanthropies because they have resources and wholesale buying power that we do not as individuals. And even if you can't do that, if you are watching my channel, you are supporting that endeavor, because over the last couple of years, my husband and I have been able to donate over $10,000 to charities that address housing and food insecurity from the profits from this channel. So thank you so much for watching, because it has helped us to be in a position to be more generous for those causes that are really near and dear to our heart. You've probably already surmised that I plan to make breakfast sandwiches as one of the meals using the English muffins that I purchased. And I love using English muffins for breakfast sandwiches because they're just heartier. They're sturdier than regular bread or biscuits or even tortillas. So I'm gonna brown up half of my 1 pound package of sausage, so half a pound of sausage. And then when that's done cooking, I'm going to add 6 of my eggs and beat those all together so I can squeeze
scramble it with the sausage. I'll sprinkle in a little bit of cheese, and then I'll pile that onto my English muffins to make breakfast sandwiches. And one of the reasons that I wanted to utilize this is because it's a really easy breakfast that you can actually eat on the go, especially if you just grab one of those bananas. You can have a breakfast sandwich. You can even make those ahead of time and then reheat them whenever you want to eat them. So something that comes together really quickly, and like I said, that is really easy to eat if you're one of those people who likes to eat on the way to work or maybe after you get to work. That's what I did when I used to teach full-time. My potato soup is done. I did taste mine, and I added just a little bit extra salt and pepper. I wanted to wait on that because I didn't know how salty the sausage was going to make the soup, because it's pretty salty on its own. But you can thicken this if you want by adding a cornstarch slurry, or you can just spoon it into a bowl, just ladle it into a bowl and top it with a little bit of shredded cheddar cheese. I bought a block of cheddar cheese and I'm going to use about half of it with the soup tonight. Really easy. I hope you were able to get some ideas or inspiration from this video. If you need more ideas and inspiration, I have made tons of these budget cooking videos over the years, so I will leave that budget meals playlist linked in the description box below. And if you are able, I hope you will consider making a donation during this season to a local charity that addresses food insecurity. If you like this kind of content and just realistic home kitchen cooking content, I hope you will consider subscribing to my channel or pick out one of these videos to watch next, and I'll see you there.